Chapter 1, Section 15 of the Greek View of Life by Goldsworthy Lowes Dickinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Martin Geeson. Chapter 1, Section 15. Metaphysical Criticism. While thus, on the one hand, the Greek religion, by its inner evolution, was tending to destroy itself, on the other hand, it was threatened from without by the attack of what we should call the scientific spirit. A system so frankly anthropomorphic was bound to be weak on the speculative side. Its appeal, as we have seen, was rather to the imagination than to the intellect, by the presentation of a series of beautiful images, whose contemplation might offer to the mind, if not satisfaction, at least acquiescence and repose. A Greek who was not too inquisitive was thus enabled to move through the calendar of splendid festivals and fasts, charmed by the beauty of the ritual, inspired by the chorus and the dance, and drawing from the familiar legends the moral and aesthetic significance with which he had been accustomed from his boyhood to connect them, but without ever raising the question, is all this true? Does it really account for the existence and nature of the world? Once, however, the spell was broken, once the intellect was aroused, the inadequacy of the popular faith on the speculative side became apparent, and the mind turned aside altogether from religion to work out its problems on its own lines. We find accordingly, from early times, physical philosophers in Greece free from all theological preconceptions, raising from the very beginning the question of the origin of the world, and offering solutions, various indeed, but all alike in this, that they frankly accept a materialistic basis. One derives all things from water, another from air, another from fire. One insists upon unity, another on a plurality of elements. But all alike reject the supernatural, and proceed on the lines of physical causation. The opposition, to use the modern phrase, between science and religion was thus developed early in ancient Greece, and by the 5th century it is clear that it had become acute. The philosopher Anaxagoras was driven from Athens as an atheist. The same charge, absurdly enough, was one of the counts in the indictment of Socrates, and the physical speculations of the time are a favourite butt of that champion of orthodoxy, Aristophanes. To follow up these speculations in detail would be to wander too far from our present purpose, but it may be worth while to quote a passage from the great comedian, to illustrate not indeed the value of the theories ridiculed, but their generally materialistic character, and their antagonism to the popular faith. The passage selected is part of a dialogue between Socrates and Strepsiades, one of his pupils, and it is introduced by an address from the chorus of clouds, the new divinities of the physicist. Chorus of clouds. Our welcome to thee, old man, who would see the marvels that science can show, and thou, the high priest of this subtlety feast, say what would you have us bestow? Since there is not a sage for whom we'd engage our wonders more freely to do, except it may be for Prodicus, he for his knowledge may claim them, but you, because as you go, you glance to and fro, and in dignified arrogance float, and think shoes a disgrace, and put on a grave face, your acquaintance with us to denote. Strepsiades. O earth, what a sound! How august and profound! It fills me with wonder and awe. Socrates. These then alone for true deities own, the rest are all godships of straw. Let Zeus be left out, he's a god beyond doubt. Come, that you can scarcely deny. Zeus indeed, there's no Zeus, don't you be so obtuse. No Zeus up above in the sky? Then you first must explain who it is sends the rain, or I really must think you are wrong. Well then, be it known, these send it alone, I can prove it by argument strong. Was there ever a shower seen to fall in an hour when the sky was all cloudless and blue? Yet on a fine day, when the clouds are away, he might send one according to you. Well, it must be confessed, that chimes in with the rest. Your words I am forced to believe. Yet before I had dreamed that the rainwater streamed from Zeus and his chamber-pot sieve. But whence then, my friend, does the thunder descend, that does make us quake with affright? Why, 'tis they, I declare, as they roll through the air. What, the clouds? Did I hear you aright? Ay, for when to the brim, filled with water they swim, by necessity carried along, they are hung up on high in the vault of the sky, and so by necessity strong, in the midst of their course, they clash with great force, and thunder away without end. But is it not he who compels this to be? Does not Zeus this necessity send? Oh, no Zeus have we there, but a vortex of air. What? Vortex? That's something I own I knew not before, that Zeus was no more, but vortex was placed on his throne. But I have not yet heard to what cause you referred the thunder's majestical roar. Yes, 'tis they, when on high full of water they fly, and then, as I told you before, by compression impelled, as they clash, are compelled a terrible clatter to make. Come, how can that be? I really don't see. Oh, yourself as my proof I will take. Have you never then ate the broth puddings you get when the Panathenaea come round, and felt with what might your bowels all night in turbulent tumult resound? By Apollo, 'tis true, there's a mighty to do, and my belly keeps rumbling about, and the puddings begin to clatter within, and to kick up a wonderful rout, quite gently at first, papapax, papapax, but soon pax away, till at last I'll be bound I can